For me, making sales social is just me being able to be out there, to love on people, to show them what's possible for them. When they thinking about their dreams of how they want to be on ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, I like to approach them from a human being perspective.
Welcome to the Making Sales Social podcast, featuring the top voices in sales, marketing, and business. Join Bryn Tillman and me, Bob Woods, as we each bring you the best tips and strategies our guests are teaching their clients, so you can leverage them for your own virtual and social selling. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Making Sales Social. I'm so excited about TeeJ Mercer, our guest today. Using nearly 30 years in Hollywood as a TV editor and producer, TeeJ was the chief noisemaker of Media Mavericks Academy, shows authors, experts, speakers, and entrepreneurs how to book themselves on outlets like ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, and more without a publicist and without being a celebrity. Yes, you can show up on these sites. You can have a presence. Having worked on hits like The Tonight Show, The Bachelor, got some questions around that off screen, Swamp People, Shrek, The Incredibles, my favorite Disney movie of all times, Cars, and more. TeeJ is the secret weapon you need to go from the shadows into the spotlight and claim the media authority and credibility you need. Well, TeeJ, yes. I am so excited both for my audience and for me personally. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bryn. I am so excited to come play with you today.
We're going to have some fun. You know, it's so interesting to me that, you know, when I see speakers or even a LinkedIn profile that shows that they've, you know, been on ABC or CBS or NBC, like immediately there's this level of credibility that they get. And so I am really excited to talk to you about how people can do that. And I know you're going to give us some gems. But before we jump into that, we ask all of our guests the same question. What does making sales social mean to you?
Well, I am a social butterfly and I'm an extrovert with introvert tendencies every once in a while. And so for me, making sales social is just me being able to be out there, to love on people, to show them what's possible for them. When they thinking about their dreams of how they want to be on ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, I like to approach them from a human being perspective. I know I have worked on some of the top, you know, TV shows, films, or what have you, but there are always people behind it. And so many times I find that people put like Oprah producers on a pedestal. And at the time of this taping, one of my besties' show just got renewed. Sherry Shepherd, her show just got renewed for 2 seasons. So I woke up to that news this morning. But
I love her.
Oh,
she is hysterical.
I'll have to tell her, yes, we are super excited. I spent premiere week with her. As the show was taken off and the found. Okay, we get off track. But what I'm saying is, like, being behind the scenes of this, a lot of people forget that we have problems. We go through divorce. We, you know, have sick kids. We, you know, losing jobs or what have you. So for me, when I'm being social, I'm hopefully making sure people understand that producers are people too.
That's a good line right there. I love that. So let's go back to really bringing some value to folks that are thinking, man, you know, I want that credibility. I want to be seen as that expert, especially a lot of our audience, they're authors, they're coaches, they're course developers, and some are sales professionals that just really want to stand out as an expert in their industry. Mm-hmm. So how can media help someone get more exposure for that book, that course, or even just to elevate their personal brand?
Where else can you go to get potentially millions of eyeballs on you and your genius, and it doesn't cost you anything?
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's media. That's absolutely media. It's a one-shot major exposure. And the next level to that is if you are a speaker or an expert that presents or what have you, when you're thinking about the fact that you can do this one spot and ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CW has put their name behind you, then that ups your respectability, your credibility, your authority when you are presenting yourself to be a speaker at a conference or what have you. You come in with all these media credentials, right? And so as a result of that, you get more ching ching in your bank account too.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you said free. So now I have heard things like Forbes, for example, you can pay to get into Forbes. But talk to me about the free side of media. Now, I'm going to put a caveat on there. Nothing is really free. You're probably going to invest a lot of time and a lot of resources or get some help from someone who invests the time and resources.
Right.
But look, what does it look like going out and getting like a guest spot, or like, where does someone start to even dream?
So I like that question. And it's what I've built, my program, Media Mavericks Masters, under. It's when you are actually pitching producers yourself. You do not need a publicist to actually pitch producers. If you've got a great segment idea, if you've got the expertise to back up that you are capable of speaking on this particular topic, you really can pitch them yourself. And, especially when you're looking at like the local ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, across the country, they're hungry for stories. You've got an ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox in every city across America. That means there's hours of programming to fill. You can absolutely pitch yourself. And here's what's one of the upsides to the pandemic, because before the pandemic, Bryn, the producers, the shows wanted you in studio. So a lot of my clients would be flying from city to city to actually, and they've booked themselves and they're flying to the city to be in the studio. However, because of the pandemic, the news didn't stop. And so now you're on Zoom doing interviews, and they still have not gone back to being completely in person. So you really can be sitting in New Jersey doing an interview in Los Angeles. Exactly. So, and you're still getting the credibility. Now, the preference, obviously, for visual purposes, and you want to use it for your sizzle reels and things like that, you want to be in studio. But if you are looking just for the authority, you can be pitching across the country because they're still open to virtual interviews.
Wow. I mean, that's a huge opportunity. So you're not really limited to your local markets.
Absolutely not. And that's the key thing that I teach all of my media mavericks, that no, and more importantly, I would add this, Bryn, that if you've never done television, I don't want you in the big market. So New York is number 1, LA's 2, Chicago's 3, Philly's 4, Dallas is 5, and so on and so on and so on. And not as a ranking, but just as a size. Keep in mind that Good Morning America, like, is an ABC show. The ABC affiliates, the Good Morning America is watching the ABC affiliates, and they're watching the top larger markets. So you don't want to actually, if you've never done TV, you don't want to go into these larger markets because you don't want to make mistakes in these larger markets. So you want to go into a market like Albuquerque, New Mexico, Palm Springs.
It's a beautiful city.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. I've done an NBC segment for them. And so you want to go into those cities because you're getting the expertise and the experience, but you're also doing what I call go for the logos. You're earning those logos as well. So it's a dual purpose. Now, on the flip side of that, if they call you, if an ABC New York calls you, you don't turn them down. You you get some TeeJ in your life and let her help you and get ready for the segment. But it's really tough, Brenda, to talk in 3 to 5 minute sound bites. And that's what you have to do, because the not 3 to 5 minute sound bites. A segment is 3 to 5 minutes, so you don't have time to dilly dally.
Right. You've got to bring your best fast.
Yes.
And you have to be able to answer those questions on the fly. You don't get to think. So, yeah. So
well, it's not it's not that you don't get to think. And I want to make sure that people understand that anytime that any of my clients book themselves, they send suggested questions. Bryn, did I not send you suggested questions?
yes, you practice what you teach.
Because here's the thing, Brent, you don't know my brand like I do. You don't know the ins and outs of my brand. So I'm not going, if I want to make sure I serve your audience, I give you suggested questions. Now, you know your audience, so the decision is, the final decision is up to you. But I often have had clients that they send the suggested questions and the producer, the host just goes right down that list. And they've practiced their sound bites.
Magic.
Yeah. So yeah, you sounding effortless takes effort. So you're going to practice what you're going to say, but none of my clients are allowed to just wing an interview. They send suggested questions. Now they're prepared, they're experts. So if they go, if the host goes off script, that's fine. But for the most part, I would say 85% of the time, the producers stick to the script of the suggested questions.
Looking to up your LinkedIn game? The Social Sales Link team has you covered with our LinkedIn Sales Accelerator, a guided social selling program that includes training, coaching, and so much more. Visit socialsaleslink.com/in for more details. Again, that's socialsaleslink.com/in.
So that's a mic drop moment for anyone, whether it's a podcast or ABC, NBC, right? Mm-hmm. CBS. That's brilliant. Guys, listen to that. You've got to be prepared and you have to help the interviewer with the right questions. I love this. So number 6,
that makes them a wealthy, not a wealthy, but that makes them a welcomed guest because the producer doesn't have to work hard. Like my clients get invited back because because I am a producer, I show them how to produce the segment for the producer. So it always ends up where, what else you got? When do you want to come back?
You made their job easier.
Yeah, you've made their job easier. And they don't have to do a whole bunch of research or trying to figure out what the questions are because you've handed it to them on a silver platter.
Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. Okay, so number 6 on your list of questions is my next one. Can you share a few secrets about getting booked in the media?
Yes. So one of the biggest secrets, I'm not going to just share a few, I'm going to give you the biggest, is called newsjacking. And newsjacking is the art of inserting your brand, your expertise, your knowledge into the media based on hijacking a current event, a breaking news story, a trend. So, for example, what just happened recently with the NFL and the football player who had to be
the heart attack.
Right, the heart attack. Last name.
Darren.
Yeah, I can't think of his first name. So if you are an expert in these kind of injuries, you should be pitching your ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox and explaining and pitching. I'd like to come on and explain what's really happening. I would like to explain or answer questions for your viewers on, the kind of injury he had. Newsjacking is when you even take, a social media trend. So for example, when a few years ago, the one that comes to mind immediately is when we found out the aging app that was going around on Facebook where people were, aging themselves and you could see what you look like at 80 or 90 years old. They were aging themselves, and we found out that the app was owned by a Russian company. Well, I sent out a newsjack alert and suggested to my social media experts, to my cybersecurity experts, even to my parenting experts, hey, somebody needs to do a pitch around what parents can do to protect their kids from apps that can harm them, like what parental controls need to be engaged on these apps. In less than 24 hours, one of my experts got booked.
That's amazing.
And it has happened in less than 24 hours. You can be sitting on TV. You remember the slap heard around the world where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? That night of the Oscars, I went live afterwards and just started, giving out different newsjacking angles for my clients. And one of them, who had pitched CBS before, never got a call back or email back. She pitched them an angle that I suggested. She is a psychologist, I believe. And for the first time, she got a call back and she was sitting and doing a CBS interview from her living room the very next day. That is the power of newsjacking.
That's amazing. Do you recommend that people put Google alerts out, or that so they're waiting for topics to hit?
Absolutely. You want to keep your nose to the ground of sniffing out a story. And one way to do that is a Google alert around your, lane of expertise. However, when it comes to newsjacking, you may have to get a little creative with it, so it may not be directly in your lane of expertise. So for example, one of my clients, she was one of my VIP clients, so I booked her for this. She is a hair loss expert, right? And when the first Black Panther came out, you remember the bald head, warriors. There was a scene in Black Panther where they put on wigs to go in and do the fights. They put on wigs to blend into the casino so that the Europeans wouldn't know that these were the Wakanda warriors. However, when the fight broke out, they ripped their wigs off and put it down. So I sent on her behalf, I sent out a pitch that said Wakanda warriors are ripping their wigs off by choice, but 46 million women have to wear wigs by force.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
One pitch, Bren, got her ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox in 4 different markets. That one pitch. So yes, Google alerts work, but you still have to be looking for creative ways to attach yourself to a trend.
Oh, TeeJ, you are brilliant. This is so exciting. It really is. And I want to ask a couple quick more questions, even though we're over our normal time frame here, because there's a few things that I really want to know. What are some do's and don'ts to getting publicity for my brand?
Okay, so one of the biggest don'ts is do not think of the media as you going on and promoting. No producer is just going to hand over their platform to you without them thinking about, but how does this serve my audience? So I like to frame it around what's in it for them. Do not be tuned into channel WIIFME. What's in it for me? Tune in to WIIF TV, TLTR. What's in it for the viewer? What's in it for the listener? What's in it for the reader? So when you're coming from a perspective of, you want to get exposure for your book, but what problem does your book solve? So never approach a producer with, hey, I want to come on and promote my latest book. No, they are not interested in that. But hey, I want to tell you the four keys to surviving a traumatic experience, especially after something has just happened in the media. Something tragic has happened. You want to, and then you happen to be the author of this grief book. So you definitely want to make sure that you do go in with a serve perspective. Another thing that comes to mind is you want to go in having a strategy. Meaning, I know, and Bren will attest to this. Bren, what was it? I asked you one specific question before we went live. I said to you, Bren, what do you want your audience to know as a result?
I know, that was awesome.
So in my head, I need to make sure I serve Bren's audience. It doesn't matter, that I have one agenda. I'm there to serve. So you make sure you're going in with a strategy to communicate what it is the audience needs to know, but also bringing the audience back to you so you can continue to serve them. And then the last thing I would say as a do and don't is don't think of it as an interview. Think of it as a conversation. And because if you think of it as an interview, especially when you're on one of these bigger platforms where it's millions of people tuned in to ABC that morning, it may freak you out that, oh my God. But if I'm thinking, oh, I'm just going to go have a conversation with my girl, Brent, and all these millions of people get to eavesdrop, but I'm just here talking to her and answering her questions. That shifts the focus from you being out in your head and thinking about the millions of people to just being present with Brent.
I love this. I mean, this is so powerful. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to ask before the last thing, which is how can people work with you? That is the most important thing. But before, one last question. How do people crush these conversations, these interviews? How do they go out and do so well that they get asked to be on lots of other things?
One word, you show up with SPUNK. SPUNK. And SPUNK is an acronym. So I'll break it down for you. You want to show up making sure you have S, and my mind just went totally blank. But you want to show up knowing you will serve the audience, right? And we talked about that. Mm-hmm. P, you want to show up prepared, not prepared in the sense of making sure you look cute, but prepared in the sense that you have practiced your sound bites of speaking in sound bites over and over and over again. You want to go in with an understanding that this is not a monologue. I'm here to converse with Bren. I'm here with the understanding this is her show. I am a guest. I need to serve her audience. And then in nuggets of your expertise. You don't have the time to give it all. So you have to speak in sound bites with your nuggets of expertise. And SPUNK is a nugget of expertise. And then K, show up knowing you earned it. I don't care if you pitch them or they pitched you, you still show up with knowing that you earned the right to be there. You have earned your expertise, whether it has been through education or life experience. And so you show up in fullness of who you are.
There are more nuggets in this. There's more spunk in this interview than, I'm sure the listeners right now their mind is blown. So before I ask you the last question, Damar Hamlin came to my brain as the gentleman who had the heart attack on. I had to just because I just had to.
I knew it was Hamlin. I just couldn't think of the first name.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin. Anyway, and he's doing fine. So I'm thrilled. Okay. For everyone listening, everyone listening that wants media exposure, you need to at least follow TeeJ. If not, take one of her classes. Talk to me a little bit about how people can work with you and next steps to connect with you.
Actually, I walk what I teach, so I serve. So if you go over to newsjackthat.com, it will give you the opportunity to download my free guide on breaking down newsjacking to the nth degree, so that you have a better understanding, because I don't have time to give it all because I'm only giving nuggets of expertise now. But you can go over to newsjackthat.com and download it, and you can just take off from there.
Wonderful. TeeJ, I had so much fun. This was selfishly one of my favorite interviews because my mind is going. So after the show, send me some information on your course because I think we could use it. Thank you. Thank you. You are fabulous and have so much fabulous spunk.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me, Bren.
Oh, my pleasure. So for everyone listening, when you are out and about, don't forget to make your sales social.
Thanks for listening, and join us again for more special guest instructors bringing you marketing, sales training, and social selling strategies that will set you apart. Don't forget to subscribe to get the latest episodes from the Making Sales Social podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.